Every now and then, Grumpy and I jump in the car and head out for a day trip. And today, on this beautiful sunny day, we're here in Ford, just outside Arundel. Why are we here? Well, we've come to see this model giant. If it looks familiar, that's because it used to be the engine shed, now having had a bright spanking new rebrand. We're going to go take a look. Come with me, you're in for a treat. Before we continue, just a quick request. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of all my future videos. Thanks so much. Hard to contain one's excitement when walking through the doors. There are model kits, Grumpy's favourite there, Scenics slot cars, collectibles and a huge treasure trove of modelling materials. But what I'm here to see and talk about are the model trains. And safe to say for that, Model Giant is every railway modeller's idea of heaven, with over 1,500 different model locomotives on display. So why the rebrand from the engine shed to Model Giant? Well, who better to ask than the top boss himself, Managing Director Ian Fowler, who first started working at Gaugemaster when he was 16. So Ian, tell me about Model Giant. I guess the burning question is, why the change?
Why the change? It's a really, really difficult decision to make because obviously we traded as the engine shed for 50 years and then we kind of looked at the next 50 years and what we might need to do to make ourselves more relevant in an ever-changing retail world. We didn't use the engine shed name particularly well, I felt, as an organisation, and there was always a bit of confusion. Well, is it engine shed? Is it Gaugemaster? Is it this? Is it that? And although Gaugemaster is a fantastic brand in the model railway world, it's our company name, it's what we use for all our wholesale and distribution businesses. When you talk to like a normal person, someone that hadn't heard of model and hobby, and we gave them the name, that was like, Gaugemaster, what's all that about? So what we wanted to do was get a more sexier name, as it were, that we can go out into the sort of our wider community and, you know, and says exactly what we do. So yeah, we decided on Model Giant because we quite liked the fact that it was GM transposed, and we quite liked the whole largeness of the giant and the smallness of the model. Kept the orange and black, and yeah, you see what we've created today.
The name above the shop may have changed, but I'm pleased to see that the extensive product range is still unrivaled in what feels like a bigger, brighter space. How was the launch and how has Model Giant as the rebrand been received?
It's been received really positively. The most important thing that we needed to do is to reassure existing railway modellers that we're still an amazing model railway store. We've just added a few extra bits to it. In fact, there's more locomotives on display than ever before. There's over 1,500 different locomotives on display now. So it's more a case of we're not dumbing down, we're not becoming a toy store. It's really to sort of build on the success that we have as a model railway retailer, and also telling people that we do a little bit more than that now. We do model kits, we do collectibles, we do scale electric, and just, you know, letting people know that we are a more general model and hobby store as well as a model railway specialist.
Speaking of that, obviously in the 80s, BT's was the name. You know, if you're a kid, you go into BT's, you could find anything you wanted to do in modelling. Model Giant kind of gives the impression that there might be more down the line. Is there an expansion plan?
I can't pretend that I didn't look at our past as an industry to sort of shape our future. And yes, there's a little bit of BT's in here. There's a little bit of Model Zone in here. It's kind of, dare I say, a more macho version of Hobbycraft, let's say. And what we also like about the Model Giant name is that it has got scale. It's something that I can envisage us rolling out in new formats across the country if the time, moment, location, finances were right to do that, whether that be new real estate in terms of stores or whether that be a franchise opportunity or a shop in shop. Yeah, it does give us that pivot position to be able to do that in the future.
Gaugemaster, pretty much the benchmark for excellence with their range of controllers, has just launched something new. A hybrid controller that offers analog diehards something exciting. Welcome to Infinity. Here's shop manager Mark to explain more. Mark, lovely to see you. So Infinity, tell me all about this very exciting piece of kit.
Right, okay. We have two versions. One's the digital version, one's the analog version. The analog version is the cleverer version. We've got a lot of work has gone into making this an interesting controller as far as analog control goes. With it, you've got a wireless handset, which is something unusual anyway with analog control. Allows you to move around the layout and if you have a large layout or anything else like that, it's handy. It can do multiple tracks from the controllers as well, so the number buttons actually work out that if you have multiple bass units or boosters connected to multiple tracks, you can jump between tracks on the handset itself. You've also got the ability with this is a slightly hybrid system, so we've got a separate digital output on the back of this, which if you have point work or signals you want to control as an accessory, you could then have a digital control unit underneath the track, which will then allow you from a wireless handset to control the point motors and stuff like that. Other than that, the trains themselves haven't changed, so there's nothing you have to change with the trains. It's just a case of driving whatever you want. The other quite interesting thing we've done, we've got stuff like you can name your tracks on here, you can name the accessories, so you can have a yard or a siding number and stuff like this. And there's a few little bits and stuff we've got play-wise in. We've got things like a fueling mode and stuff, so things run out of fuel, and a few things like just having meters and stuff on there, so you can see how much amperage you're drawing on the tracks and that as well.
All very exciting, and I know more than a few DC fans who will be adding Infinity to their Christmas wish list. And while some might believe that DCC will take over from the DC market, Gaugemaster believes otherwise.
We really believe in DC. At the moment, the split is 60-40 in terms of analog modelers. It's normally everyone's entry point to the hobby is analog, and that's why when we developed Infinity, it was really important that we did something for the analog modeler. Our market research showed us that the thing that people valued most in terms of the switch to DCC was hands-free wireless operation. So some people far cleverer than me in the UK were able to develop a system that allowed analog modelers to run their railways wirelessly. And perhaps something we needed to explain better, because when people see Infinity, the assumption is, well, it's DCC. Well, yeah, some of it's DCC, but quite a lot of it isn't. So if you're an analog modeler and you want a wireless model railway, you can do that with Infinity without needing to buy a single decoder.
From infinity to beyond. Sorry, I had to say it. Gaugemaster started life in 1975, merging with the Engine Shed in 1982. And over the decades, it's seen some challenges, like all retailers, but especially over the past few years, with COVID creating an initial boom in the hobby sector, followed by a retail hangover, an experience Ian says Gaugemaster has learned from.
But we've got half an eye on the future, and we think we've got a responsibility as one of the bigger names in the hobby, to make things more accessible to people. Something that we've absolutely learned over the last couple of years is everybody has got a flicker of interest in it, and it's about us and everyone in the trade to turn that flicker into a flame at some point.
Well, anyone who's new to the hobby need only take one peek inside the newly revamped Model Giant shop, and that flicker will be well and truly found. But when you're new to building your own model railway, or even if you've been modelling for some time, stepping into a shop like Model Giant can feel a little overwhelming. So many products, which ones do you need? So I asked Mark to give us a definitive guide to what to buy if you're just starting out building your own model railway. Over to you, Mark, again. Do you want to show me around the shop?
Yeah, we'll have a wander around.
Shall we go and have a look? Come on then,
wander.
Mark.
Yeah.
And we start in the glues and ballast aisle.
From the sort of starting point of generally doing Scenics and stuff, we've got the deluxe range of products here, which have a lot of bases it touches, and through ballast magic for letting ballast down on scenic stuff like doing trees and bushes and all this sort of thing. So very well regarded range in that, and very, very expansive as far as you can pretty much hit many bases, water, trees, ballast, everything sort of. They can do adhesives and that with that. So from a starting point there, you probably go for some of the starting kits, and then you've just got your general glues and stuff for doing kit building with, so your plastic glues, that for doing various bits and pieces there. Start with a reasonable smallness, don't go off the deep end too much with it. So you'd probably be going for one of the kits they do. So like I say, they do the ballasting kits there, and things like that allows you to have a little bit of a play with the ballasting and getting your eye in. I know people who go buy kilos of ballast and tubs of glue and off they go. But I would always recommend people start small and happy, and they get their eye in and get their hand to actually doing it, because it's nothing worse than coming back to a bit of work and going, that's terrible, what did I do there?
Exactly. Been there.
Yeah, no, I think we've all been there, so yeah.
Right, so that's that.
Yeah.
Where are we going next?
Right, so once it's sort of depending on what you're doing with your scenics and stuff, so there's obviously the glues there, then we actually move into the actual scenics of your sort of flocks and trees and stuff like that.
Way.
So trees is one of those odd ones that lots of people come along and say, what size tree should I have? And that it is a very abstract scenario, because I can show you trees that are taller than a house or trees that are in someone's garden at waist height. So we tend to just say what tree you're after and what sort of scenario it's going in. So scale's not so much important with trees. You do get the very large trees, which obviously you do have the scenario, they will be for a particular gauge. But yeah, you've got lots of areas in there. Fowler do even do sort of all your sunflowers and your corn in the cob and stuff like that as well. Also, you then have things like the phlox.
Yeah.
So the actual scatters, the phlox, to give you that sort of stand-up grass, various different pits like that. A lot of the manufacturers also do bulk trees, which are a much more basic tree, but allow you to, at a better cost, do a large area. So if you were starting out, then we'd probably say go for one of the sort of the bags of trees, just because you can cover more with what your money's going to buy.
So we've had all the glues, we've had the trees. Now what's next?
Well, we also do our own range of Scenics and that as well under our Gaugemaster brand, along with all the tools and stuff. So we can kind of have a look at those and all the sort of the tools and stuff and that you'd be using as well.
Okay, let's go this way.
Okay.
Oh, this looks very exciting, my kind of thing. So explain what you've got here.
So we have our own Gaugemaster range of Scenics as well. So again, flocks, scatters, gravels, trees, and except ballast and all that sort of thing as well. So this is the advantage that we've got bits and pieces in our ranges, things like starter packs for flock and stuff. So that comes with a bit of glue, the puffer bottle and some flock as a sort of starter, sort of sample set. We've got various bits and pieces that you can actually then just dip into, get your eye in and do various little bits and pieces. So it's handy that we've got these sort of starter sets, because if somebody's coming to it new, they can get a little pack, they can try it, they can see what it goes like and how the systems actually work with that sort of thing. So,
And Mark, come and explain what we've got here.
Fine. Yeah. So what we have, again, we have quite an expansive range of our own tooling, which covers a lot of different bases, but it does give you the advantage to have some bits and pieces to start with. It depends on where you're going to go. If you're doing maintenance on your locos or anything else, we've got various oils and tools to do that. But if you're doing Scenics, then we've got your general knives, masking tapes, saws and stuff like that, small drills for doing various bits and pieces. And also we've got our soldering irons and stuff as well for doing your electrics, your point motors and everything as well.
So now we're getting into the heavy duty stuff, if you like, the controllers.
Yeah.
So for example, if I had a basic layout, it had 3 lines end to end, what is the most kind of affordable, budget friendly controller I'd need to look at, analog?
Right, okay. From a point of view of our analog controllers, it depends on also what you want to achieve if you're wanting to do any extra lighting or point control and that, because they have extra auxiliary outputs on the back for doing various different bits and pieces. You could, if you had something like an end-to-end that was a reasonably long one, you might want to have multiple controllers rather than one of our sort of cased units with the dials. So you could go for, say, something like 3 of our combis there, so you could have 3 independent controllers, or you could go for something like our Model Q, which is a one-hole unit with 4 track controls on it. It's got more outputs on the back, and it's obviously much more contained. It's got 1 plug rather than 3 plugs and stuff. So from an electrical point of view, you've got it much more contained. So it just depends on where you go with what you're actually wanting to achieve. I know some people like having a single controller on their yard and have another controller down the other end, or vice versa.
All very good, but how much are we looking to pay for all that?
I mean, if you're going for the stuff we've been looking at, so your Scenics and stuff, you'd be looking at sort of between sort of £150, £200, and there's always ways to save money and ways that you can splash out on various different things. But if you set yourself that sort of limit, then you'd be happy sort of fitting in a fair amount of stuff to get you started. So
there you go. Thanks to Mark for the tour. And there's just time to make a few purchases of my own to add to my kit and have a quick go on the Scalextric. My brothers never let me play with theirs. And then time to head off, but not before watching the trains go by at Ford Station, which is just next door. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye-bye. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of all my future videos. And why not browse the shop at modelrailwayquest.com/shop. And to receive a 10% discount on everything in the shop, become a Questie. Join the Model Railway Quest membership to receive that discount and a whole bunch of perks and goodies. Details on how to join are above. I'm Dawn Quest, and this is Model Railway Quest.